Alright guys, welcome back to another reaction video. This was actually in my YouTube recommendations, and today we're gonna watch a video about how hentai destroys your mind. Yeah, my stance on this is, before we start the video, I've said it multiple times I think. My personal stance on pornography is that you should not watch it, as it is poisonous for your mind, it is unhealthy, it is also morally questionable, especially with like all the actresses and stuff. It involves actual humans. It teaches, in my opinion, it teaches you to use others. And I have a bigger tolerance with hentai as it does not involve actual humans, and it does have some artistic value, I have to admit that. However, do not get it twisted. In its core, it is still pornography. And in my opinion, you should consume sexuality within relationships, marriages. I don't care if you're a man, woman, straight, gay, whatever you are. I think you should consume intimacy in a relationship with somebody you love. That would, in my opinion, be the best thing you could do. But again, let's continue. Let's watch the video. I'm interested. Alright, let's go.
Hentai. Few things on the modern internet are as destructive. That's not an exaggeration. We live in a time where the average person takes it for granted that porn and hentai don't harm them, when in reality all scientific research shows they do.
Yep. There is scientific research that shows that it is unhealthy. It can be linked to depression, funnily enough, because remember, you do it all the time. Like, me personally don't. I have not consumed any adult media for about 3 years, and I'm happy that I'm done with that, because I've been addicted. Take it from somebody who has been addicted. This shit is harmful. If you will realize that after you stop for a while, how harmful that shit is, how much better you will feel if you quit. And this does not only go for the guys. There are some of you girls out there. There's not many of you, but I know you exist, who also consume a lot of pornographic material. Please, escape from this. It is the best. It feels amazing to have stopped with this. You will not feel as tired. You will feel way more motivated. You will feel happier, because remember, if you finish, your dopamine will go up and then it will instantly rush down. And let's be real, guys. Sometimes there is the thought of, man, I should actually stop. That's how it started for me. Like, man, I should actually stop. Imagine somebody watching me. Would they proud of me, of watching me do that? Like, imagine my face and all. Like, nah. Let's be honest.
So how did we get here, and what can be done about it?
We normalized pornography. We normalized hentai. We normalized sex work, which is atrocious in my opinion, because women have fought for the right to not use their body for that. And now we are leading young women back to it again. I feel like when it comes to like technology, we are really advanced, and then when it comes to like socially, we have kind of a little bit regressed in that department.
Anime is the definition of a medium with big ups and big downs. On
True,
one hand,
true.
it can be a beautiful art style that produces brilliant shows. There are thousands
Yeah,
of anime fans who enjoy their favorite anime without making it weird.
I
Anime
love
can
anime.
produce many meaningful
I
discussions
consume
about
a lot of
themes
anime.
and messages. But just as the culture surrounding anime has its highs, it has its dark lows.
That is
Hentai is
true.
the darkest of them all.
Yeah.
In 2020, I made a video titled How Pornography Destroys Your Mind.
Maybe I should
Everything I
watch
said in
that.
that video is as true today as it was then.
Mm.
In fact, since I made that video, even more research on the negative effects of pornography has come out. The mountain of proof continues to grow ever higher, and there's no end in sight. First of all,
This is why I shit on content creators who promote pornography, who promote these things, who do create these things.
for people not acquainted with what hentai means, here's its definition.
I think it means something like pervert in Japanese. Or perverted.
Hentai is a work of anime or manga, or any similar medium, that contains sexual or pornographic art. To simplify, anime is a popular Japanese art style. Hentai is anime depicting sex. For this reason,
True.
the hentai industry could basically be viewed as the dark counterpart of the anime industry. While anime and manga focus
And
mainly...
I do understand like Japanese culture. There are a lot of popular like mangaka who also draw hentai to make ends meet, to like keep them above water, let's say. Like I do understand that, and if it is necessary, it is necessary. I cannot change that.
on actually telling stories.
But again, it's not really also the consumption of it, it's also how we consume these things. I don't think that sitting around for 3 hours looking for the perfect video so you can jerk off for 5 minutes is the way to go about this.
Hentai focuses.
Because let's be real, a lot of us did and do that.
Here, hentai is a form of pornography and meets the dictionary definition of it.
Yep,
However,
it
despite
does.
this, there remains a vocal minority who seem to think that somehow hentai doesn't have the same negative effects as real porn. They've convinced them.
The consumption, I'd agree. The making, not so much, because remember, there's not actual people involved. So I do need to make that distinction. And again, it does have some kind of artistic value.
Themselves that because hentai is drawn, masturbating to it will somehow have no effect on them. Not only is this false, but I'll be making the case in this video that hentai is probably even worse for you than actual pornography.
I could see some, I could see it to some degree. Because let's look at it from a genre perspective, okay? It teaches you to be attracted to things that are simply not possible. I mean, pornography, like humans, also do that. That does happen. However, since hentai is art, you can do a lot more weird shit, like monsters, tentacles, bestiality, like NTR, which I think is the most as somebody who wants cheetahs to be removed off this planet, I think NTR is one of the worst genres in that entire thing. I think it's the worst one, without a doubt. It is ultimately the worst. It's then there's also things like the grape, like an entire genre for that. I can see how consuming it might
but give me the chance
make
to
it
make my case.
make it
And
weird,
now,
interest in
set,
weird things.
Let's get into exactly how hentai destroys your mind.
Talk to me. Tell me.
To the average person, hentai probably doesn't sound like it's an issue outside of Japan. But in the last 2 decades,
It is an issue.
Hentai websites generate...
If you've ever been, like, in a Tectone stream, The difference between me and somebody like Tectone, when I see a new character for Wuthering Waves, I'm interested in what they can do. When Tectone sees new characters in Wuthering Waves, he's instantly starting to drool.
Tens of millions of views from people across the planet, not just Asia.
Insane.
Pornhub, the biggest porn site in the world, released a report in 2019 that
It
found
is
that
on
hentai was
top.
its most searched category. Any online
It
anime
is
fan
on
has
top.
heard of someone who's watched hentai. Hentai
Jesus.
websites are widely shared anywhere
It
in
is
the
on
way of
top. That is
disgust.
insane.
Hentai may have started in Japan, but in a way it's also not truly Japanese. Before 1945,
Interesting.
Japan enforced strict
How?
censorship laws that forbade depiction of the sex acts shown in hentai. Japan, like much of the world, had strict moral values that the population was expected to abide by.
We have heavily declined in moral values, because people seem to think that morals are an subjective thing. I think morals are there are morals that are objective, that are in our nature, and there are morals that cannot be crossed. Morals that are in every human rights are morals, are objective morals. Law is objective moral. There is an objective moral, and people like to throw that out and say moral is subjective. Moral is not subjective. We all can agree that taking somebody's life is evil. But there are some people that argue that that's subjective, which is crazy. We need to lock these people up. To be fair, there are people that think that really evil things are morally subjective.
It was only after World War II.
And remember, I'm not the most moral person on earth. Like, I do some things that are very, very questionable at times, like morally. Like, I think we all had it where we thought in our head about unaliving somebody. A lot of us probably had that. We didn't do it, but we had it in our head, like the imagination. That is obviously immoral.
When a liberal government was enforced on Japan by the United States, that hentai began to emerge. The US occupied the country and rewrote the Japanese constitution, repealing Japan's former censorship laws. From that point on, slowly but surely, pornography of all kinds was shown to the population
That
under
is
the guise of
sad.
freedom of speech. One might look at it as a sick way for the occupiers to pacify the Japanese people. But regardless of its origins, the problem of hentai is no longer small or distinctly Japanese.
It is
Today,
huge.
It's gone international. If you don't see any problem with this, let's recap just some of the scientifically proven negative effects of online porn.
I would even argue that there is more hentai created outside of Japan than there is inside.
Chance of addiction, increased erectile dysfunction, loss
True.
of motivation,
True.
desensitization
True.
to normal sex acts, dulling of dopamine receptors,
True.
higher chance of divorce.
So let's go over these, because this is interesting. So, high chance of addiction. I've been an addict. I can agree. This stuff makes you highly addicted. Increased erectile dysfunction. I heard from people that overconsume this stuff and they simply could not get one up. Loss of motivation. True. After doing that, you feel really tired and you don't want to do anything anymore. Desensitization to normal sex, yes, I can see that. Especially if you like, because remember, the scenes you see do not replicate the reality whatsoever. That is really important to take into account. Dulling of dopamine receptors, true. That goes also for like sleeping around, by the way. It has the same effect, which is why you have... Which is why I can see how not only sleeping around may make it difficult to bond with somebody, but also consuming adult content. high chance of divorce. I heard from somebody who was addicted, was really heavily addicted. He got married, he brought that into the marriage. He lost his wife and his 3 kids. Yeah. Sources are, by the way, in the description. I will link the video as usual in the description.
And much more. If
Much
you're
more. I
someone
want to
who
be
ever
more.
watched porn or hentai on a regular basis, be honest with yourself. You likely felt some or all of these problems.
Yep.
One common
Well,
argument.
not all. Dysfunction is not a problem. Like I said, you can fix it if you stop.
Defenders of hentai make is that hentai itself
These
isn't
3
harmful
fools.
to a person, but rather the harm supposedly comes from their own shame for watching it. This is a sophisticated tactic of blaming the victims and deflecting blame from the true source of the problem.
This is like the same argument that people use for Twitch, where they say, well, 13-year-olds can see like essentially almost naked women on Twitch, and people are saying like it's the parents' responsibility to not let them watch that stuff. But in the other side, if a website is for 13-year-old plus, and you have essentially adult content on that website, it is also the website's responsibility to make sure that those kids cannot access that content. Or that if you have kids on a platform, there should not be any pornographic material on that website. Sure, porn streams aren't necessarily pornographic, but they are sexual. There is no denying that.
It's like saying to someone whose health is being destroyed by cigarettes that it's only happening because they're ashamed that they use the cigarettes.
I don't get it. Like, if you're ashamed of using cigarettes, you would eventually stop. It's the addiction, not the shame, that harms them.
People acknowledge the harm of hentai on the individual,
Though you probably also feel shame if somebody points it out.
And has no effect on broader society. But as I'll demonstrate,
it does have an effect on broader society.
It doesn't even pass a common sense check.
Because remember, these things cause relationships to break up, which results eventually in single parents. Single parents result in, especially for young boys, in also criminals. When people say, do what you want as long as it makes you happy and doesn't harm others, to me that is a fallacy. Because everything you do has an effect on you and others. For example, when people say, if you want to create adult content as long as you don't harm somebody. But the people that watch your stuff, you harm them. You exploit them because you are exploiting a weakness when it comes, for example, to men, because most of these men are lonely and get no access to women. Essentially, there is no it's exploitative because there is no equal exchange. Because they give you money, they can consume your content, but their content makes you miserable. Continue.
Hentai is broadcast openly on the internet to millions,
Yep.
not to the individual.
True.
Japanese sociologist Kamio Ito studied hentai's effects for years and found in his research that it was causing men to retreat from real life into a world of imagination.
I think that, well, we know that Japan has a problem with like postmodern hermits, hikikomori, and and also they have a problem with birth rates, and I think that pornography does greatly contribute to that.
Such men were no longer interested in real women or
True.
real relationships,
Yes.
and were content to spend their days masturbating to fantasies. The effects of this trend on society are predictably
Like I said, Sitting there with your pants down for 3 hours looking for the perfect video. That's exactly what this is.
Japan is of course the main creator and exporter of hentai, and it's viewed there more than any other country. Surveys there in recent years found that 70% of Japanese men aged 18 to 34 aren't in a relationship.
70?
Have no interest in one. Japanese
70. 70% are not in relationships. Yo, they complain that like 35% of men between the ages of 18 and 35 haven't had sex in the last year or are virgins. This is 70% of men that haven't had sex in possibly years. That is insane to me. Like me personally, I'm waiting until marriage, but this is still insane. 70%! No wonder they have a problem with their birth rate. They are not having children whatsoever.
Freakish sexual things, such as public masturbation booths and buying panties from vending machines.
I did not know that.
With Kamio Ito's theory that hentai is causing Japanese youth to retreat from the real world into a fantasy world.
I can see it now. I can see it.
All of this, it's certainly a key part. The trends in Japan, of course, can be extrapolated to the rest of the world. As I said, hentai can be addictive.
NTR is the most popular genre. I find that to be absolutely creepy. I think that the fact that NTR is one of the most viewed stuff is absolutely scary. That is absolutely scary.
Something that makes hentai potentially even worse than regular porn is that, due to being animated and cartoonish, it's especially likely to draw in young people. Remember that the average age people first see porn online is
true.
A young person on the
11?
Stumble upon
11. You know what the first time was when I saw an adult film? 16. I was in 10th grade. Or 9th grade. 11.
On hentai because the animation style looks like other cartoons they've watched. To make matters even worse, pornographers often use characters from popular kids shows like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and even Western shows in extreme porn. This draws in younger and younger people to make a habit of watching hentai.
Yeah.
And all of this is happening at the same time that actual scientific research has found that almost nothing stunts a young person's sexual development more than using online porn. Now, a hentai defender might say, but their parents just shouldn't let them watch it. That's true, but this ignores that not all parents take proper care of their kids. If they did...
The problem with that argument that parents should take care of their what their children do. I'm gonna drop a really hot truth now. Most parents barely have time for their own children because they're both working. I've worked in schools. And the amount of time that children spend with their parents is abysmal. Because look, they're off from 7:55 a.m. to 4 p.m. in school. Then they are carried. Then they get home. If they get home, sometimes they even have some outside of school events, like playing football. That's possibly been 2 hours gone. Possibly. There's a lot of children who do music stuff, like when I worked in a primary school. Those kids spend at most 6 hours a day with their parents. If 6 hours at all, a lot of parents just get them home and then here, take your iPad and then do what you want. A lot of parents do not have the time to take care of their children. Because remember, a lot of parents also have children men and women have children really late, like in their 30s. It is difficult to take care of a child if you do not have the time to take care of that child. Because you have to make sure that it also has enough food, it has clothes, it has, you can pay the bills. A lot of people that make this argument that just parents should take better care of their children, it is true, but they also don't have children, so they do not have any idea of how much work is actually required nowadays to take care of a child.
Wouldn't be in this situation, and some simply don't understand just how bad the problem of porn and hentai on the internet is.
Yep.
No matter what, by leaving this issue
If I told my mother that there is animated porn out there, she would not know. She does not know that. She does not know that exists. My sister does not know that my sisters don't know that exists. My older sisters. My little brother, who is not that much older than me, like not much younger than me, barely know that exists.
Completely unregulated, millions of kids are being left to the wolves. Hentai advocates, predictably, have no recourse for these people left behind. The truth is that people that advocate for hentai want more people.
I absolutely dislike this chick. And again, this woman is married. How the fuck are you married?
Like them. Speaking of children, we should now talk about how hentai actually gets much darker than just showing sex.
Yep,
we can start
it can get
with
really dark.
Disgusting examples. The lolicon genre. Now the term lolicon itself should immediately ring alarm bells to any normal person. This is because it's based on the phrase lolita, which is a synonym for a young prepubescent girl. And this genre is exactly as twisted as you would expect. It shows sex involving young prepubescent girls.
Yes and no. It can show these things. It can. That does not mean it has to. There's plenty of examples where a lolly character is not sexualized. Like we have Cyberpunk, like that girl. Gargura, like a lot of VTubers. It gets a bad rep because I think it originated in hentai, but it can be used outside, and I hope that it will be used more outside of that, the term, for lolly characters. Like, for example, Kale from Dragon Ball Super. That is a lolly, because she has the, like, not like super feminine appearance, because that can also mean lolly. Like, not that, no curves, like just a bamboo, like, just like a trunk, whatever you want to call it, in the middle of nowhere. Me personally, I don't consume that stuff because it's kind of weird to me. It feels weird, which is why I don't do it. Again, I have no issue if you are into lolly content, as long as it doesn't become like really fucking weird, because there is some weird shit out there. But I'm like saying, maybe you should look into that person's hard drive. Like, me personally, I use it intertwined with, like, interchangeable with P-type women. And the circles that I'm in also use it in that way. However, I do very much understand the opposing side. Because let's be real. It does happen that these characters are supposed to depict actual children. Not actual children, but like fictional children. That does happen, and that is weird. Is it actual CP? No. we cannot put that on the actual on the same level as CP, not whatsoever. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Is it weird? Sure. Can we put it on the actual level of CP? No, because people who like do CP, do that disgusting stuff, they should be ended. That is my opinion. There is no rehabilitation. Remove they have lost the right to exist on this planet. Let's continue.
From preteens down to toddlers. Lolicon hentai essentially glorifies and popularizes child sex abuse to a wide audience. What are the effects of this? Well, we do know that over time, viewers of porn are desensitized to the acts they watch. When you couple this with Lolicon, it paints a dark picture.
Yeah. Like, for example, Klee here from Genshin Impact. If you age her up, great. But if you draw actual stuff with her, motherfucker, you are weird as fuck.
Psychotherapist Sam Lully emphasized how hentai can desensitize people's minds. As a psychotherapist who specializes in sexuality, one trend I've seen over the years is how prolonged viewing of hentai can eventually impact one's arousal template. In other words, what people used to find arousing may no longer be enough, and the more deviant forms of sexualization become the new norm of arousal.
Like, you originally start out with like really vanilla stuff, and then you get even into like even more like almost like also violent stuff. Also remember, it can cause like AGP, autogynephilia, which is eventually wanting to be treated and dressed like a woman, which is not to be confused with being trans, because being trans is I'm looking for the right word. What is it? Like dysphoria. AGP is not dysphoria, and it's really important to make that like differentiation.
He wrote about Lolicon specifically.
And even like into like some weird stuff like feminization and stuff. Because the regular stuff isn't enough anymore. That does happen. A lot of these people who are into like this stuff are addicts.
What can be problematic is that these types of cartoon depictions of willing, childlike sexual encounters normalize children as appropriate sexual partners. When a child is sexualized,
I definitely understand the fear and
are chipped away at and blurred.
Yeah, I understand
kind of
the other side very much. I'm not on either side. When I see a Lottie character, when I think of Lottie, I think of P-type women.
Well, you heard the
Well, someone else might think of
trust the science.
Yeah.
But sadly,
children.
Even this lowest form of hentai has its defenders.
This 12-year-old girl, yes, maybe a 12-year-old girl, but it is just a drawing of a fictional 12-year-old girl. Nobody can do anything directly to this 12-year-old girl that will put them in harm's way in any kind of physical or emotional sense, because this 12-year-old girl you speak of never...
Yes, it's not a crime. Yes. It's just fictional. But yes, you're also fucking weird. You're an addict, whether you like it or not.
...existed in the first place.
Well done addressing an argument that absolutely no one is making. The issue is the viewer, not the character. But people who argue in favor of this do not do so in good faith. They are essentially all either terminally online...
I can actually see it. That's the crazy stuff. I can actually see how that might influence somebody to want to touch children. I can see it.
Actual pedophiles.
Like, am I saying that all people who consume lolly content are PDF files? No, the vast majority aren't. But there is definitely a minority that is. That is undeniable.
You'll find them on websites like Twitter, where their feed is nothing but them arguing with normal people who are against sexualizing children. One trend I've noticed with these people is how they make being a lolicon their entire personality. It's all they talk
True and
about.
real.
They have destroyed their life and identity so much with their porn habit that it's now all they can identify with. It would be a sad and pitiable state, if not for the fact that they desire to pull everyone else down with them. There's one particular case that should be noted here. On YouTube, there's a highly viewed video defending lolicon by a user named Mr. Cynical. He also goes by the name Burn or Rika, and you'll soon see
What
why
the
he's
fuck?
always changing his name.
Weird name.
One of the key
Really weird
arguments
name.
in his video is that fiction supposedly doesn't impact a person in reality. Never mind all the science I just...
It does. How many people that are in the gym went to the gym because of shonen anime? Because of My Hero Academia, because of Dragon Ball, Naruto, whatever. How many of those? You will find a big majority, a big group of people that got into like working out because of Dragon Ball. There's a lot of people that changed their outlook on life, for example, because like the whole meme because of like Vinland Saga. I have no enemies. And you're telling me that consuming hentai has no effect on your mind? Be real.
Attracted to real children. Well, Mr. Cynical later admitted to engaging in sex tourism in Thailand with child prostitutes.
Everyone's like, oh, you rape these children.
This is disgusting. Find this man, lock him up, buy a rope, get a chair, and make his parents happy.
Rape these children. I'm like, no, it's fuck rape. You know, that guy.
Well, you still fucked him, right?
Yeah, I had sex with him. Just
What the fuck?
Thailand.
yes.
Shit.
He also posted sexualized pictures of his underage sister's feet to the internet.
What? Is this guy still around?
This man spent an entire 40-minute video arguing how viewing child hentai doesn't make someone a pedophile, and then ended up being an active pedophile. Understand that this is the kind of person who defends lolicon.
That's what you call ironic.
Now with hentai, it isn't even
What the
just
fuck?
lolicon that's the problem. Hentai is full of disgusting and unnatural fetishes that it sells to its viewers. Rape, torture,
Yeah, disgusting,
bestiality,
disgusting.
gore, it's all there. The hentai
Cheating,
industry is actively
NTR,
creating
one of the,
people
I think
whose
one of the
views
worst
sex
things
are
to ever
utterly
grace the face of
horrifying.
this planet.
And this doesn't just impact minors. As has been discussed, adults also suffer from many negative health outcomes, both physical and mental, from watching it.
Jesus
Hentai
Christ.
also shouldn't be seen as just a male problem. It certainly affects men the worst, but women, especially young women,
Yeah, there is a lot of women that are into that stuff. That is true.
are also badly impacted by it. Take this story of a girl whose boyfriend introduced her to hentai when she was just 16. I'll
Huh?
never forget the first hentai video he linked me. As an innocent girl who had rarely seen a naked body, the exaggerated childlike women and bold, confident men portrayed in the cartoons ensnared me at once. The more I watched, the more violent ones I saw, the darker my thoughts about sex and relationships became. One day, I asked the boy if he would ever tie me up like the boys in hentai.
What the fuck? Yeah, we need an asteroid. We don't need an asteroid. We need a fucking supernova.
Message about exactly what he planned to do, and there I started with roleplay. Eventually, she
Jesus.
did get out of that lifestyle, but she concludes by saying, "The scars of that secret online life dig deep." So much for fiction having no effect on real
It
life.
absolutely has an effect.
Now, as usual, in
Positive
these
as
videos,
negative.
I'm gonna debunk a few popular myths.
And I take the
But what
positive
about wholesome
and not the
hentai?
negative.
There isn't any such thing. All hentai depicts sex with the goal of inspiring lust in the viewer. If someone's addicted to vanilla porn, it doesn't change the fact that they're still addicted to porn and it's
Yep.
still negatively
Yep.
affecting their lives. But it's just pixels. This is an obvious bad faith argument. Media of any kind is just pixels. Pixels are used to convey messages, and the substance of what's being portrayed is what matters. The effect it has on your mind doesn't magically disappear just because it's animated as opposed to
True.
being real life. Life is hard, just let people use their hentai. Life is hard, and hentai is one of the things that makes people's lives even worse.
Yeah. just like all pornographic material. That's the same people argue, oh, let people smoke, let people drink, let people be overweight. No. Sometimes I hate this argument of let people do what they want as long as they're happy and not hurting anybody. I hate this argument because doing what makes you happy might not be the best for you. Doing what makes you happy might actually harm you, and sometimes you have to protect people from themselves.
One of the final
That is
things
really
worth saying about
important
hentai
to
is
keep
how
in
it
mind.
paints anime as a whole. Anime culture
And I want to protect people from themselves. Sometimes you have to call people out on harmful behavior to themselves.
has the potential to be so much better than it currently is. When people who don't know anime
I think it
assume the
is
worst
great.
about it, it's usually because they think
It
it's
is
all
great.
hentai. A lot of people don't
But
even
it's
realize
also
that not all
like
anime is
this side is
pornographic
also
or even
really
sexual.
disgusting.
Anime has gained a lot more popularity in the last decade, but even that hasn't caused this negative association to go away. And frankly, it's because anime culture hasn't earned a better reputation. A lot of anime fans have become, for lack of a better word, coomers. Popular anime YouTubers don't help this by shilling hentai and other porn in their videos. You've likely seen their half-naked clickbait thumbnails
True.
before. Much
Is
like
that
the
fucking
mutually
Gura?
destructive
That is fucking
relationship
Gura.
between the coomer and the porn star, many anime YouTubers use hentai to attract their audience.
It's not just like the what is it? It is not just like anime content creators. It is also VTubers, which a lot of men are drawn to. There is VTubers that actively promote sex work. There is VTubers that actively promote pornography. I'm gonna say it. I dislike people like Cottontail VA. I dislike people like Project Melody. I think they are actually disgusting. You may not like what I said, but in the lights of this video, and I've seen Melody like defend sex work, and I disagree with her on everything. You wouldn't want to be near those people in real life. Why are you near those people online?
This is not good. Look, if you care about anime, you should recognize that it could be doing so much better than this.
Yeah, it could. It definitely could.
I'll draw this video to a close as I did how pornography destroys your mind, by offering some solutions to the hentai problem. The most important thing that you need to understand is that things don't have to be this way. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live.
It is unnatural, and I'm gonna say this is unnatural for us to watch these things. How is it possible that an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old has more access to women than the most powerful men in history? That should be that should be concerning. That should be concerning.
Live in a society where people are exposed to horrifying sexual images on a daily basis. The first solution is obvious. If you personally look at hentai, quit immediately. Save yourself from the black hole it's pulling.
The best thing you can do, and that is what I did when I originally stopped. Work out. The moment these urges come up, work out. Work out to the point you are so tired you don't want to. Literally, just make like 4 or 5 sets of like push-ups to failure. Your health will benefit, and your mental health would also benefit. If you can't, the thing is, when people like stop, and then they fall, they fall back again, they do it again, they give up. But it's a long process. You may not do it for a week, and then you will do it again. You may not do it for a month, and then you will do it again. You may not do it for 3 months, but then you will do it again. You may not do it for a year, then you may do it again. It's a constant battle, but it's beneficial. What I would also advise is, there's apps on your phone, there's like programs on your PC that you can install that will block these websites. You can manually put these websites in a block list, and then when you search them up, it will all remind you, no, you should not do that.
You into. It's not too late. You have the strength to quit if you put your heart and mind into it. There are more stories online every single day of people who successfully kicked their porn and hentai habits. Starve hentai creators the money they gather from poisoning you and millions of other people.
I don't watch these people.
Now obviously, at the same time, individuals quitting isn't the only thing that needs to...
I said it before. If I see you have an OnlyFans, if I see you have a Fansly, if I see you draw pornographic art, I will block you. Immediately.
Be done.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to be associated with it. Leave me alone.
Level. Major social media companies need to be pressured to change their policies and to remove hentai content. Some people will claim this can't be done.
And I'm also at a point where I'm not calling people who watch this stuff losers. I'm at a point where I call these people victims, because that's what they are. They are victims. They are prey to a predatory industry.
But it's already been done on websites like Instagram and Gab, both of which ban porn. Web service providers should also pull down hentai sites as well as...
Elon, you have a job. Do your job.
Websites that continue to create and distribute it. But that's just in the private sector. Governments and voters can also act. Courts and laws must make it clear that hentai, especially in its worst forms, is not protected speech and can be banned. After all, for centuries free speech did not cover porn, and it was always understood that an individual's right to look at porn was trumped by the community's right to restrict it. To people who say that laws like this can't be enforced, I once again say that they already are being enforced. As we speak, many governments ban pornography and are quite effective at keeping it from going mainstream. Even we in America already enforce bans on child pornography. In the rare cases where someone gets it, they're thrown in prison and made an example out of. We merely need to expand that. Outlawing hentai should be part of a greater moral revival, where we take every measure in our power to get Western society back on track from the moral wasteland it's currently in. No solution here is perfect, but let's try our best to strive and achieve what those before us have failed to do. This has been Pax. Leave comments below letting me know your thoughts on all this.
And remember, there's a difference between like pornographic material and like beautiful characters, like sexy characters. There's a big difference. Because again, one is an act and the other one is just a sexy woman. The core issue that I have with banning it is that it does have some artistic value, and we cannot deny that. There have been major improvements in, say, animation because of it. We cannot deny that. However, I don't even think that banning it would be necessary. I would say some things should be removed, like I said, the violent things, the NTR stuff, the bestiality shit. Lolicon, if it actually involves childlike characters, like actually childlike characters, not like petite women. I think one of the best things we can do as society is to teach people that what they are doing is unnatural, and that they need help, that they are victims to a degenerate, predatory system. Again, I'm not necessarily for banning it, because, again, it's art in some form, and I'm not necessarily against censorship of art. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think that it is okay? Are you against, or are you against it? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.